My name is Brianne Perry, and today I'm going to walk you through the business continuity plan for Cornwall's Art and Frame. This presentation will cover the history of Cornwall's Art and Frame, the focus of the business continuity plan, objectives and scope, risk management plan, business continuity strategy, business impact analysis, recovery procedures, recovery time objective, and the scheduled maintenance and testing of the business continuity plan. Craig Cornwall established the company in 1985, and the shop is located in Visalia, California. Craig has over 35 years of framing experience and is currently working in the fourth and largest location since opening. The shop includes a gallery space full of eclectic prints and framed art for purchase. The shop also offers customer full-service custom framing. The business continuity plan outlines key recovery information and procedures for Cornwall's Art and Frame in the event of a disaster. The focus of the business continuity plan includes the objectives and scope, business continuity strategy, incident recovery plan, and recovery procedures. The objective of the business continuity plan is to coordinate the recovery of critical business functions in the event of a shop disruption or disaster. This may include short or long-term disasters or disruptions. The establishment of these objectives has assisted the company in prioritizing the critical functions and establishing necessary steps to be taken during a disaster. The scope of the business continuity plan is focused on localized disasters such as fires, floods, and other localized natural or man-made disasters, including that of poor reputation or unfavorable customer reviews. Cornwall's Art and Frame has identified its critical functions as both goods and services. The goods side comes in the form of unframed and framed artwork that is displayed in the shop and is available for purchase. The service portion is the framing aspect, which provides the majority of the work and profit for the shop. This component consists of planning, ordering, receiving, constructing, finishing, delivering, and hanging the artwork. An interruption in the framing component of the organization would cause greater negative consequences than an interruption in the goods element. The viability of this business continuity plan is based on the assumption that management has identified an available space for relocation, which can be occupied and used normally within 2 to 5 days of a shop disaster. Testing and maintenance procedures have been established and will remain current. These procedures include the periodic review of the adequacy and appropriateness of the business continuity strategy, assessing the impact of additions and changes to the business continuity plan on critical functions and shop requirements, and maintaining alternate site locations and ensuring a good relationship with the business partners that have agreed to assist in times of need. There is currently a full-scale exercise scheduled for February 4th, 2018 for Cornwall's Art and Frame to test the effectiveness of the business continuity plan. This day was chosen because it is after peak season and because the shop is closed on Sundays, so it will not cause downtime. The risk management plan outlines the greatest risk to the company, as identified by Craig Cornwall, the company owner. The first and most devastating of the risks is fire, and the likelihood of this is moderate. The impact would be very high, as everything in the shop would be destroyed, and customers' personal belongings would be destroyed, which is making this a very high priority. A preventable action that has been established is a fire suppression system, and also to have fire extinguishers accessible. The second risk is unfavorable reputation or loss of customers. This is a moderate likelihood, and the impact is high because Craig depends on word of mouth and good reviews to keep customers coming back. And if those were to be negative, it would impact the amount of business that would come into his facility. So the priority for this is also high. A preventative action for this is to maintain a high level of customer service and ensure work exceeds customer expectations. Also to complete work on time and as promised. And finally, a risk is financial issues, and the likelihood of this is moderate. The impact would of course be high because he is a small business and he is he's the sole business owner. So if something was to happen financially, it would definitely impact him being able to handle it, as he doesn't have a partner to share that liability with him. So the priority for this is also high. Preventable actions for this is to maximize peak season marketing and advertising, and also to make smart business decisions and to maintain a lean manufacturing system, as Craig only places orders for supplies as they are needed and with each order. So there is a little inventory that is actually kept in the shop as far as from making the custom frames. The business continuity strategy defines the strategy devised to maintain business continuity in the event of a shop disruption. The stakeholders of Cornwall's Art and Frame include residential and commercial customers, management, and employees. Requirements for the organization include contractual obligations, such as the contracts that are made between the company and the customer, whether residential or commercial, when orders are placed. Additional contractual obligations include the lease contract and the contract between the company and the vendors. Customer promises are also part of the stakeholder requirements, and they are present in the organization in the form of promised deadlines and quality of work. Recovery priorities established within the strategy are to recover critical business functions at an alternate site location. Relocation strategy and alternate site location have been established. The alternate site is the same location as the Emergency Operations Center. This location is only set up for short-term operations. In the case of a long-term disruption, work in progress would be sourced to a business partner, Express Framing, who has agreed to take in work until normal operations can resume. Recovery plan phases will take place in the following order. Disaster occurrence. In this phase, the occurrence of a disaster would be that it disrupts the normal operations of Cornwall's Art and Frame, and it would need to be declared that it is a disaster. Next would be the plan activation, and in this phase, the business continuity plan are put into effect. Next would be the alternate site operations, and upon occurrence of a disaster in the primary shop, operations will be moved to the alternate site. Key personnel will be able to drive themselves to this alternate location, which is only 3.7 miles from the primary shop. Next is the critical recovery point objectives relating to the disruption of maintaining a retail space will include the replication of work orders. Due to the fact that Cornwall's Art and Frame does not rely heavily on computer systems, this will require minimal effort and cause minimal downtime to recover. Work orders are required at the start of production and therefore will need to be recreated if the original is destroyed. Next will be the transition to the primary site. And once the primary site is operational, the company will begin the process of transitioning from the alternate site back to the primary shop. At this point in the business continuity plan, it would be time to perform a vital records backup. However, there is currently no electronic backup system in place at Cornwall's Art and Frame. All vital records that would be affected by a shop disruption are physically maintained and controlled by management. This is an identified area of weakness within the company and one that has a plan for rectification. An electronic backup system will be implemented before the business continuity test is scheduled for February 4th and before the annual review of the business continuity plan. If a real disaster occurred before the implementation is complete, customer work orders will be manually recreated. Finally, recovery teams are established to identify who will participate in the recovery process for the business continuity plan. Due to the fact that Cornwall's Art and Frame is ran only by the owner, Craig Cornwall, and his one employee and the company manager, Delphina Barrigan, they will fill the required roles within each of the teams. Recovery procedures are identified in the business continuity plan and describe the specific activities and tasks that are to be carried out during the recovery process. These procedures transform the established strategies discussed previously into a very specific set of action activities and tasks according to the particular recovery phase. The business impact analysis illustrates critical functions that have been identified by Craig himself, along with the risk that is associated with each function. Critical stakeholders and their relationship to the function have been identified. The health of the company is dependent on Craig and Delphina. Second are the in-house orders. In this case, the company personnel are dependent on them, as they are required to maintain a functional shop. Third is the customer base, which is an external stakeholder. Customers are considered interested parties. Lastly are the suppliers. They are dependent on the company's purchase for their financial health. And because there is a great overlap in the suppliers, there is a low dependency on them by the company. Recovery time objectives are organized by the function. By maintaining a retail space, the recovery time for not being able to do this would be 2 to 3 weeks. And that is because 2 to 3 weeks of lost sales would not be critical. Anything over that would become cause for alarm. The second function of maintaining a functioning shop gives a recovery time objective of 3 to 4 weeks. Work orders over 3 to 4 weeks to completion would be over industry standards and not acceptable. And the final function is to maintain relationships with industry suppliers. And this is given a recovery time objective of 2 to 3 weeks. And that is because materials would be required to meet the above deadlines. Maintenance and training have been established within the business continuity plan, and they are training is scheduled to conduct a full-scale, Cornwall's Art and Frame is scheduled to conduct a full-scale training scenario on February 4th, 2018 to test the business continuity plan. An after-action review will take place after the training scenario to modify any discrepancies found within the plan. Annual maintenance will take place for the business continuity plan to modify the following as needed, which would be suppliers, personnel, insurance, and administration. That concludes the business continuity plan for Cornwall's Art and Frame. Thank you very much.